really killer grandpa. Speaking of killer, that wasn't the right term, was it? So, and that's where we go. The pies and cakes and cookies. I was a sugar addict, and I'm not over that just yet completely. I still like to do unsweetened, sugar-free sweet tea, which is sweetened with stevia, which is a plant-based sweetener, but it still triggers the dopamine that triggers your pancreas to make insulin. So it's basically doing the same thing as sugar. So those are things that go, bump in the night. I'm thinking, what am I talking about? I feel like Joe Biden sometimes, So that's pretty much the ketogenic lifestyle. It's not really a diet. It's sugar and grain, no sugar, no grain, no processed food, low carb, high fat, animal fat. Now, keto is not necessarily all animal based. It's ketovore and carnivore are basically beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, which is all meat and no veggies. But keto can be done with vegetarian. And, you're not getting the same benefits, and you have to eat a whole lot more of it. You've got to eat a truckload of veggies to get what you need out of it. So these things you just have to research for yourself, and that's what my very first little card leads me down to say, do your own research about everything. When you hear of any diet or because it's not a diet, nutrition is something you need to start looking into, period. Do we need a pen or something right here? Okay. I should probably quit stammering around and open this to questions.
What are the early symptoms of Alzheimer's?
Okay, now that's a real good question. Guess what?
Could you repeat the question?
What are the early
The
symptoms?
question is, what are the early symptoms of Alzheimer's? And the answer is the typical doctor answer. I don't know. Okay? In our case, Deb started writing checks because they were in the checkbook. Okay? She had no concept of money, responsibility, or even what to do with the numbers. So shortly after that, I was put on the account. She had her own account at that time. And the daughter said that I was on it. Well, no, I wasn't, but that's a whole other story. So it's forgetting little things. We were driving to a family dinner that we'd gone to every week for the last 7 years. And she drove right past the turn. And I said, and she said, no, that's not it. I said, okay. And we went on another half mile before we turned around and came back. She missed her turn. Fortunately, I had taken the keys from her as far as she was driving back and forth to Alabama to visit her grandkids. And just got to where she couldn't. And after that incident, I took her keys. And she didn't say anything about that. So, I would say, for us, it was forgetting where you're going and the banking thing. She still knew who I was. And she was still feeding herself and basically normal, but those little things stood out. So who submitted that question? Okay, what do you think?
Well, I'm just wondering what the difference is between aging, forgetting little things, and things what you mentioned.
Okay, basically, there is no difference other than the fact that the aging ends with just forgetting little things like what room am I in and where am I going. I do that all day long. And the Alzheimer's continues to go down. You start forgetting more and more and more. The hippocampus is responsible for memories, long-term memories, and that's when the that's where Alzheimer's tends to start, is the brain cells in the hippocampus start dying. So that's what takes your memories. You still have frontal lobe, but frontal lobe goes next, and it's got your short term. And so that's when you start forgetting people's names and whatever's going on there. But if all you're forgetting is little things like that, you just need to get on keto right now. All right?
What if you're an athlete and you need the carbs for your energy? This is, I mean, I know what you're saying, but it's a lot foreign to what I've studied in my personal training.
A lot of personal training says more carbs, more carbs. All right? Dr. Sean Baker is an international rugby player. Eats 0 vegetables. His doctor taught him that plants will kill you, that plants are trying to kill you. Plants are toxic. So he's done just fine. Everything you need, you can get from meat. Okay? The extra carbohydrates, you eat more meat, or you can go ahead and eat some vegetables. The serious, hardcore, but generally, hardcore athletes are still very healthy at that time, and they can get away with eating carbohydrates because they can burn it up. And that's what they're doing. So I would say it's age-related there too. If you're 50 years old and still think you're an athlete, you need to go back in the mirror. I had that problem. I still think I know how to do this kind of stuff. I need to stand in front of a mirror and do it before I come in here. Pretty bad. So, what's next?
Peanut butter test. Are you familiar with that?
Peanut butter who?
Peanut butter test. So there was a study, and there was a study that if you, I think it's like you put one side of your nose and smell a jar of peanut butter, if you can't smell peanut butter, that's a symptom of early onset Alzheimer's.
No, I have not heard that one. That's,
Yeah.
and then I heard you could hop on one foot and rub your tummy too. But, well, that's great. You shouldn't even have peanut butter in the house. And that's, I just sniff it. I don't need it. I sniff it. And that's the point of, that's why they call it a ketogenic diet. It's because you're trying to get to a state of ketosis. State of ketosis is where your body is eating your fat because there are no carbohydrates or sugars for it to eat. So it's going to eat somewhere. And it's going to eat fat. Fat is a great source of sugar, a great source of energy. That's pretty much what that is in a nutshell. And that I'm trying to think what goes through the pancreas. And MCTs, multi-chain triglycerides, other than short chain and long chain, go straight past the pancreas and go straight onto the liver. So they develop ketones much faster. And that would be like coconut oil. There's a lot of things on there. You may have seen videos where the woman is taking care of her husband who has Alzheimer's and gives him 2 or 3 tablespoons of coconut oil in his coffee every morning, and actually reverses his Alzheimer's. She's the woman is a doctor.
I've been reading, I read something about that.
That's very interesting. So guess what I started doing? Coconut oil has been a major part of my diet ever since. And then, of course, I hear all this about virgin olive oil. I drink virgin olive oil every day. And I've always taken ivermectin. Me and my dogs stay very healthy. We don't have parasites. They check my poop regularly. They assure me I have no parasites. Next question. You got another question?
Yeah.
Okay, nobody's got a
Yes,
question?
we have another.
Oh, I hate to get it from the smart section.
How do, you want to do it?
Thank you.
you. this is one of those signs that you're aging. I just had cataract surgery in both eyes, and I chose the long-range vision, so I have great vision. I can see apex back there. How do you know if it's Alzheimer's or another type of dementia? Good question. That's because dementia and Alzheimer's, same thing. Dementia is an umbrella that covers Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and Lewy body and several other forms of dementia, but they're all dementia. Short-term memory is gone, but not long-term. There again, that's the hippocampus and not yet the frontal lobe. And blood work is good. Meat when heart trouble.
You were saying meat is a good diet to be on, but if you have heart trouble, what should
Still a
you?
good diet. Meat is what Ken Berry calls is a proper human diet. Okay, it's the ancestral appropriate diet. It's what we've been eating for a million years. Whatever disease or ailment you have, keto is good for it, or carnivore is good for it. All right? So it's not necessarily going to cure it, but it's not going to hurt it. Oh, I have it right here. Oh, I can see that. Does he know, is there any connection with brain fog and dementia, Alzheimer's? That, as far as I'm concerned, that's pretty much what it is. Brain fog and dementia. Alzheimer's is acute brain fog. I have it all the time, so I focus on my carnivore diet regularly. But do you have a specific, whose question? You had no specific, that was just a general question. Did I answer it in just a general way? Okay. Are there any more questions?
It's mostly just saying that the ketogenic diet is wonderful, but you have to be careful about the quality of the meat that you get, because sadly our government has really dropped the ball.
That's a good segue into where we want to go.
Thank you. Okay, that's all I was going to say.
That's where we want to go with the regenerative diet and regenerative soil, regenerative farming. Okay,
That's just restating what I was
so
saying.
that you get your beef from grass-fed farmers who have also grass-fed cows. GMOs and shots really don't come into play. The big animals digest all that, goes through their body. If you're getting it 2 days after, if they're slaughtered 2 days after they get it, you might get a little, but for the most part, beef is safe to eat no matter what. You want free-range chickens? You prefer to have everything free-range, but if you can't, whatever beef you get is still better for you than any plant. All right, that's just a fact. And so Ken Berry has something to say about like sourdough bread. It's not as bad,
Right.
but it's still bad. It's still made with grain. So, and that's the way you look at things. It's not as bad. The ketogenic diet on vegetarian stuff is not as bad, but it's not as good as the one on beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. So that's, yes ma'am.
One thing keeps going through my mind. I
Okay,
wonder-
well that's a good sign.
I wonder why the Lord fed the Israelites manna for 3 days rather than meat.
Well, the
I know it's so
manna,
bad for you.
the manna they made back then was way different than the manna we make
Okay,
now.
now what if one purchases organic grain, and then meals it themselves and then makes their own bread? Because that's what my husband and I do.
It's,
Oh,
and her too. And I've got other people that do the same thing. And I checked it out online with my guru, and he said it's still great.
See,
Well-
yeah, that's hard to buy. Sorry.
The grain itself is toxic and sugar.
Then why didn't the Lord feed them meat?
Ma'am,
Why didn't the Lord feed the Israelites meat if the grain is so bad for you?
you know, I've lived with God since I was about 15 years old, and we have never discussed it. I got no idea.
I'm not gonna ask them.
Any more questions about what God's thinking?
I was just gonna say that the wheat was genetically modified in 1950s, and so now it's 10 times more
Yeah.
sugar than, which you probably already know.
And that is the
So
same
even
thing that
with-
happened with all your seed oils. If you look at the graph that I had her pull up for me earlier, it goes like this from about 1900 to about 1950, 1960, after World War II. Because you have to remember that they were using all this grain during World War II. They were feeding all these soldiers. Well, they had no place to put all this grain, so they said, well, you know what, we'll just call it, you know, and what they were doing with the grain is they were using it as motor oil, okay, during World War II. And they said, well, what we'll do is we'll just modify it and make it for human consumption. And they boil it and mix it with kerosene and everything else, and then evaporate that out of it and end up with this toxic mess that you wouldn't even put in your car, and yet you stick it in your body. And it's a toxin. And there again, that graph goes up, heart problems go up, type 2 diabetes goes up, Alzheimer's, all your chronic illnesses go up.
Inflammation.
Oh, great. Here's another one that survived Alzheimer's. She has a thought.
I think, Monica, probably what we're dealing with today is that we're all in a chronic inflammatory state because we've literally been poisoned by what we're eating.
True.
If we were eating since the time we were babies, the way they ate back in 100 AD, we wouldn't have to do something extreme to heal ourselves. But I think this is about healing the damage that's been done. And I don't know that any of us in this room, by the time we're 30, 40, 50 years old, are not damaged by the standard American diet. At least, it's like over 60% of our kids today have chronic autoimmune diseases. I don't know what the percentage is in adults, but I would venture to say it's a lot higher. So I think that it's about healing at this point. I don't think that we can afford to just try to go back to the way they did it and that's going to fix it, because it's about getting better. One thing that I learned tonight, you were talking, because the light bulb came on, you were talking about the plaques and the synapses, right? And how the plaques are not the problem, the inflammation is the problem. And then you asked a question about meat and and heart disease. But the cholesterol is not the problem. Our problem in both of those situations, because they're so much alike, and that's is inflammation. And the cholesterol is actually fixing the damage that the inflammation did. So the cholesterol is not the enemy, the inflammation is the enemy. And the way you can get rid of inflammation is by eating ketogenic, because it's very anti-inflammatory. I've studied this. I have celiac disease. I do not eat any grains. I don't eat pork at all. Randy and I had talked, and I mean, this information to me can be so life-changing that I felt like it was really important to have somebody come talk about it, because most of us have something going on. I mean, is there anybody in here that doesn't have anything going on health-wise? Raise your hand. Anybody, just anything, no allergies, no joint pain. Gail's doing fabulous.
In 2018, I had 2 heart surgeries, and they put me on 8 different medications.
Oh, so you do have health problems.
No, but that was
Had been.
2018. And I took, every one of those medications had side effects. And I got sick of it. I finally flushed them all down the toilet. I went on keto and have been since then. And hardly anybody will believe me when I tell them I'm 73 this year.
What?
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Go you. That's fantastic. My father has been diabetic for probably 25 years, has had blood pressure issues his entire life. And he came to stay with me, fell and broke his arm, and then I had to take care of him. I changed his diet. He got off of all his blood pressure medications and his sugar medications, and his dementia has plateaued, and he's stable now. He's not got better because the damage has been done, but I believe food's everything. I do, and I wish I've not tried carnivore yet, but I'm thinking about it. We got plenty to eat.
What do you got, Connie?
I myself had a cancer, and I've beaten the cancer so far as of this year, and who knows? I'm sorry.
She is a cancer survivor recently.
I've been a friend of Randy's for like 25 years, and I've read his blog, 4 million blogs and stuff, and kind of motivated me into looking into things. My sister had cancer, a couple of different cancers, colon, and I was her bone marrow cancer. I was her donor and stuff because I was healthy at the time, and I ended up getting cancer, and not necessarily because of Randy, but in the background of my head, remembering his blogs. And so I started changing my diet because a coworker was doing it and looking healthier in her skin, and she was in her 70s too, and I'm like, wow. And because I'm 67, and I've lost the weight that I put on from the meds, from the cancer and stuff. I said, I'm done. I'm like, this lady, I don't want any more. Can we just take this med and do this and chemo radiation and all that? You know, maybe it helped, you know, but I believe I have a wonderful maker, and I trusted in him, and so I just was following more what I knew and researching what I know for me. So everybody's individual. You know, what works for me may not work for you, but I myself have been doing a carnivore diet, and I was brainwashed, and I think of my grandkids because I say, my grandson loves pizza, and I'm guilty of teaching him to love pizza. And they said about your parents, you know, back when they grew everything naturally, and they did things naturally, and I don't like using microwaves and all the additives. I like them more natural. And so the pizza, so I thought, I gotta quit doing that to him, because it's mostly bread and sugar, and he's getting to be a pretty little chunky monkey. And so I was like, you know, trying to teach him the better way. But Randy made a point to me recently was our ancestors, you know, the guys out there, you know, in the caves and stuff, they killed and ate meat. They didn't go around and grow vegetables and all that with it, but we were all trained. You gotta have this pyramid, you know, the starches and this and that. And I gotta tell you, I feel better. When I was having brain fog with my job, I was like, golly, am I going there? Am I getting old? 29 miles mine. And through this, I don't have brain fog anymore. I feel like I'm thinking really clear, and you know, I know that it's helped. And I don't take any meds, myself. And I go to the doctor and they say, well, we can't find nothing wrong with you. I said, well, amen, you know, either I'm just super blessed, or, but I don't want to put those poisons in me, because I want to stay healthy, and if I'm going to get older, I'm going to be as active as I can be. The inflammation, true. You know, we all want to go to get up, it's that extra second, but the carnivore, which I've been doing before Randy, and he's also a mentor. I mean, I've read a couple of these books I have, but it truly, my skin feels better. My hair is coming back from chemo, so who knows what this looks like. I can't say it cured it, but they said, you're clear, you're good. We'll see you when you come for your yearly exam and blah, blah, blah. And I didn't really have, I gotta say for myself, I didn't have any side effects. People at work are going, I can't believe you go to work. You're doing like, I went to work every day. I didn't miss a day. I don't feel bad. I'm energetic. I do what I do. So I just wanted to say that, because it's all I'm doing your body tells you. My sister had her cancer, and when she was in there, the doctors, my sister's older than I am, and they said, well, you need a pregnancy test. And she's just one of those people that just goes with what's said. And when I got back to the room, I said, why did you need a pregnancy? She hadn't gone there, not like she can't just lay an egg. So I told her, why? You know, so I feel money, big pharma. I have a nephew who's a pharmacist. I have a niece, you know, I've been in the medical field, started Candy Striker at 13, nurses aid, work, you know, done all this stuff. And I'm like some of them, Dr. Livingston, I read and listened to him. He got out of medicine. I got out of it because I want to help people. And my sister believes a pill's going to fix her diet. And she wants a pill to lose weight. Like, get off that stuff. And
No, I'm the same way. I'm
she's the one
anti-pharma
that's
too.
having all the issues, you know. Right now, they just diagnosed her as a full-blown diabetic. And putting her on metformin. So I'm working on her diet, and she's been on it. She came to visit me and started and lost 20 pounds already, you know. So anyway, that's all. I just want to share it.
I would also like to say that she still thinks she's 29, proving that this stuff does not cure delusion.
Yeah, thanks. I gotta stay young for this.
We have one more question here, which is, tell us about your cancer journey and how you healed. Surgery or treatment, no surgery, no treatment. Actually, you know, I never even knew I had it. They told me I had it, and then they did a biopsy and proved it to me that I had it. And I just went on eating the way I was eating, and keto cured it, period. But keto is not what cures it. God cures it by letting your body do what it wants to do. It was designed to heal all this stuff, and you get in the way, and you feed it all this sugar, and that, you know, this is. So what I'm hoping is that somehow out of all this, we generate some hope in at least one person, and because you have to do it for yourself, and then in that regard, everybody that sees me says, damn, where'd all that weight go? And I said, keto. And then all these people have gotten on keto. My son got on it, he has MS. He lost 27 pounds in the first month. It's just, your body will take care of itself if you get out of the way. So I'm right here at 195, been there for a year. I dropped like a rock, and everybody said, oh, you're gonna go nothing. Well, it levels right off where it's supposed to be. Looks a little thin. I don't have any big muscles. So people still keep sand in my face at the beach, but when they do, I call Wyatt. Take names. What else can I do for you?
Maybe share a couple of things that you like to eat and some of your favorites and kind of give people an idea of what things have on.
Of course, bacon. Carnivor's beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. And I go with that. I've got a refrigerator full of ribeyes. Ribeyes are a little tough for me because all these pretty teeth aren't necessarily mine. So I like a little more tender. I eat fillets, and the problem with fillets is they don't have enough fat because you want as much fat as you can get. So I do know the butcher over in Crystal Springs, and I make sure they cut me stuff with plenty of fat on it. And I always ask stick of butter, and so pretty much that's eggs. We eat 4 to 6 eggs every morning. If you can live on eggs, and they'd be perfect. We eat hamburger occasionally. I like to do liver once a week. I hate it, but I eat it because it's the most nutrient dense meat source of nutrients on the planet. Okay, so. Unless we're talking about that egg, which has everything in it that makes a chicken, doesn't it, guys? They're big chicken farmers back there. And the only reason there's a free range is because their fences go down all the time and the chickens get out. All this stuff is available online. Go to YouTube. And my personal preference is to go to YouTube and look up keto and Ken Berry. And not only that, he's got a real cute wife. She's a nurse, and she does the same thing, but she doesn't do carnivore. She does keto because she likes her vegetables. She's Puerto Rican or something like that. And but that's a great place to start. And once you get started in neurology, you just look up neurology, and that's where I started there. And you can get lost forever in that deal. I have no idea how they know anything about what's going on because all these neurons are so small, and yet they'll draw them up here real big and say this, and this. Like no, this is what it doesn't look like. There's 8 million neurons in each one of these little spaces. You know, it's, they want to show you there. I said, well, how do you know that's how it looks? So, all right.
Did your cholesterol go up?
My cholesterol never went up. Not that it really mattered. I didn't pay much attention to it. My LDL came down a little bit, and that's supposed to be the bad cholesterol. There's no such thing as good and bad. Unless you get, just like water, you can get too much water. So if you get too much cholesterol, but nobody's going to do that. They're going to give you a statin if you look like you're getting high cholesterol, and the statin's going to kill you. You don't want the statin, and you don't want the stomach mass, what was that?
Prilosec.
Prilosec, and the Niprazole, or whatever it is. So
You need apple cider vinegar.
you just need to be responsible
Yeah.
for your own health and your own happiness. Believe me, it'll change your life. Being a caregiver for somebody for 10 years will change your life as well.
Yeah.
You'll never have a minute to yourself. But then once you get through it, it's a satisfying place to be. You know you've done your part, you had a purpose. Well, my purpose now, that was my purpose then. My purpose now is what we're doing here. I want to spread the word about nutrition and its effect on Alzheimer's. And, all of that is tied. Everything's tied. You got sleep and meditation, all these things that you have to focus on. The body repairs itself while you're asleep. If you're not getting 8 hours of sleep, your body's not making all the repairs it needs to make. Fasting comes in there. If you want to fast, and fast for 17, 18, maybe 24 hours. Then you got things kicking in like autophagy and neurophagy, which is where your damaged cells get chunked into the bloodstream, go through your kidneys, and are passed as urine, and your body makes, through neurogenesis, creates another brain cell. Same with the rest of the body, creates new cells. Your body rotates its cells about every 90 days. Every cell in your body rotates. So you're building a new you. So if you do anything for 90 days, exclude stuff for 90 days, you'll see a difference. You'll know that. I appreciate y'all allowing me to come up here and make a fool of myself. And I hope somebody learned something. So I'm going to give it back to Mary Jo. Oh yeah, the regenerative farming thing. This is a grass-fed beef person here. These are grass-fed beef people. The chickens back there. You need to get your grass-fed beef from someone like Mary Jo. And she's wanting to put together a coalition of grass-fed beef farmers. And we have a few in the state. I get mine out of somewhere south of Hattiesburg, and they meet me up at Barry's
It's
Stonington Farms. And I meet them at Barry's, which is evil because I have to go in there and eat them. So I bill them back for the damage that they do. One Barry's is very high, but it's also very good. You really pack away the carbs when you go in there. All All right, is there anything else I can do for anybody? I don't do windows.
Get off her mic.
Go home, get out of here.
I say,
Okay.
get off her mic. You always say, get off the
Give her the
phone.
mic?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, and it's been a pleasure.